What if the one thing standing between you and real weight loss results isn't your diet, your workout, or your willpower, but something you've been ignoring every single night before bed? Most people are doing everything right and still waking up bloated, tired, and stuck. Tonight, that changes. In this video, you're going to discover a simple, science-backed combination using pink salt that activates your body's natural fat-burning systems while you sleep. No pills, no expensive programs, no extreme diets required. This isn't another generic tip. This is the kind of information that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about weight loss. Stay until the end, because what you'll learn here could completely shift how your body processes fat, manages cravings, and recovers overnight. And it starts with something already sitting in your kitchen. There is a quiet revolution happening in the world of weight loss, and it has nothing to do with the latest trending diet, an expensive supplement, or a grueling fitness regimen that leaves you exhausted by Tuesday. It starts at night, in the stillness before sleep, with a combination so simple and so overlooked that most people scroll right past it without a second thought. But the ones who stop and pay attention, the ones who actually try it, are reporting something that sounds almost too good to be true. Waking up lighter, less bloated, more energized, and finally feeling like their body is working with them instead of against them. That shift, that feeling of momentum, is exactly what this video is about. And it begins with understanding why most conventional weight loss advice fails people before they even get started. The modern approach to losing weight has been built on a foundation of subtraction. Eat less, cut carbs, skip dinner, avoid salt at all costs. And while there is some value in reducing processed foods and refined sugars, the blanket demonization of salt, especially natural mineral-rich salt, has quietly contributed to a massive blind spot in how people approach fat burning and metabolic health. When your body is depleted of essential trace minerals, it cannot regulate hydration properly, it cannot produce energy efficiently, and it absolutely cannot burn fat the way it was designed to. You can follow the cleanest healthy meal plan in the world and still feel stuck, foggy, and inflamed because the foundational chemistry is off. That is the missing piece most weight loss tips never address, and that is exactly what tonight's ritual is designed to fix. Himalayan pink salt is not table salt. This distinction matters more than most people realize. While processed table salt is stripped of almost everything except sodium and chloride and often loaded with anti-caking agents and synthetic additives, Himalayan pink salt is unrefined, ancient, and naturally dense with over 80 trace minerals that your body recognizes and knows exactly how to use. Magnesium, potassium, calcium, iron, zinc, these are not luxury nutrients. These are the raw materials your cells use to manage fluid balance, regulate nerve signals, support muscle contractions, and keep your metabolism firing at the rate it needs to for real, sustainable fat burning to occur. When you are deficient in these minerals, your body compensates in ways that work directly against your goal to lose weight fast. Cortisol rises, cravings spike, sleep becomes shallow, and the metabolic engine that should be burning through stored fat overnight slows to a crawl. This is where the nighttime ritual becomes so powerful. Sleep is not just rest. Sleep is the body's most active repair and recovery window. During deep sleep cycles, your body releases growth hormone, regulates insulin sensitivity, processes stress hormones, and critically burns a significant portion of its daily calories through overnight metabolic activity. Most people are completely unaware that the quality of their sleep directly determines how effectively their body can eliminate abdominal fat and restore hormonal balance. And one of the most consistent saboteurs of deep, restorative sleep is mineral depletion. A body that goes to bed undermineralized is a body that cannot fully relax, cannot properly regulate blood sugar overnight, and will wake up in a stressed state that makes every healthy choice harder the next day. The combination that addresses this is elegant in its simplicity. By mixing a specific ingredient with a precise amount of Himalayan pink salt before bed, you can begin to replenish these minerals during the exact window when your body is most receptive to absorbing and using them. Cellular hydration improves. Inflammatory markers begin to decrease. The nervous system can finally down-regulate from the chronic low-grade stress state that most people in modern life are living in. And perhaps most importantly for anyone on a fitness journey, the body is primed to boost metabolism during sleep rather than hoard energy in the form of stored fat. This is not a supplement. This is not a pharmaceutical intervention. This is strategic nutritional support delivered at the most impactful moment of your day. It is also worth addressing the fear many people have around salt and weight loss. The concern that salt causes water retention and raises blood pressure is not entirely without basis, but it applies almost exclusively to the kind of refined processed salt found in packaged snacks, fast food, and ultra-processed convenience meals. Natural mineral salt behaves very differently in the body. Rather than causing the kidneys to retain excess fluid, the trace minerals in pink salt actually support kidney function and help regulate the cellular mechanisms that determine how much water your tissues hold. When you are properly mineralized and well hydrated, your body has no reason to hold on to water. Bloating decreases. The puffiness around the midsection that so many people struggle with begins to resolve. The scale number drops not because of a trick, but because your body's internal chemistry has been corrected. For anyone who has been trying to lose belly fat and feels like they are fighting their own biology, this reframe is important. Your body is not broken. It is not lazy. It is not sabotaging you. It is responding rationally to an environment of mineral depletion, poor hydration, disrupted sleep, and chronic low-level stress. Give it what it actually needs, the right minerals, at the right time, in the right form, and the systems designed to keep you lean, energized, and healthy will begin to activate. That is the promise behind this nighttime ritual. Not magic, not shortcuts, but targeted, intelligent support for the biological processes that make weight loss not just possible, but sustainable. Understanding why this works is one thing. Actually committing to it is another. And that gap between knowing what to do and consistently doing it is where most weight loss journeys quietly fall apart. People start strong, see early results, lose momentum, and eventually return to the habits that created the problem in the first place. This cycle is not a character flaw. It is a biological response to an unsupported system. When your body is not getting the foundational nutrients it needs to function optimally, willpower becomes unreliable. Motivation fades. The mental health resources required to stay consistent, focus, emotional regulation, stress resilience are all downstream of physical health. Fix the foundation, and the discipline you thought you lacked starts to appear naturally. This is one of the most underappreciated aspects of the pink salt ritual. It is not just a physical intervention. It is a neurological one. Magnesium, one of the most abundant minerals in Himalayan pink salt, is directly involved in the production of serotonin and the regulation of the stress response. A body with adequate magnesium levels sleeps more deeply, wakes up more calmly, and navigates the inevitable challenges of a weight loss journey with significantly more resilience. Potassium, another key mineral, supports the electrical activity of the heart and nervous system, helping to reduce that wide butt-teared feeling that drives so many people toward sugar and caffeine as coping mechanisms. When you address these deficiencies before bed, you are not just improving tonight's sleep, you are recalibrating the system that will determine every decision you make tomorrow. Now let us talk about the specific ingredient that makes this combination so effective when paired with pink salt. The reason this is not simply about drinking salted water is that synergy matters in nutrition. Certain compounds amplify the bioavailability of minerals, meaning they help your body absorb and actually use what you are consuming rather than simply passing it through. When the right ingredient is combined with pink salt in the correct ratio and consumed at the right time, the absorption of those trace minerals increases substantially. Cellular hydration deepens. The lymphatic system, which plays a critical role in eliminating stored toxins and metabolic waste, begins to move more effectively. And the hormonal environment required for fat burning, particularly the balance between cortisol, insulin, and growth hormone during sleep becomes far more favorable. This matters enormously for anyone focused on how to lose weight fast without destroying their metabolism in the process. The biggest mistake people make in aggressive weight loss attempts is creating a stress response in the body that actually inhibits fat burning. Extreme calorie restriction, excessive cardio without recovery, skipping sleep to squeeze in more activity, all of these approaches elevate cortisol, which directly signals the body to hold on to fat, particularly around the abdomen. Cortisol is a survival hormone. Its job is to protect you from starvation and danger. When it is chronically elevated, your body interprets the situation as an emergency and responds accordingly, conserving energy, slowing metabolism, and prioritizing fat storage over fat burning. The result is someone who is working harder than ever and seeing less and less progress. The nighttime mineral ritual works in the opposite direction. Instead of adding more stress to the system, it removes a layer of physiological stress that most people do not even know they are carrying. The body finally gets to exhale. Cortisol drops. Insulin sensitivity improves overnight. Growth hormone, the primary hormone responsible for fat burning and muscle preservation, during sleep can do its job without interference. And because the body is properly hydrated at the cellular level, the metabolic processes that eliminate abdominal fat and restore lean tissue can operate at full capacity. This is why people who adopt this habit consistently report that they wake up feeling different. Not dramatically different overnight, but progressively, noticeably different over days and weeks. Flatter, lighter, more rested, more in control. Fitness professionals who work with clients on long-term body composition often note that the hardest part of their job is not designing workout programs or building healthy meal plans. It is convincing people to take recovery seriously. The obsession with doing more reps, more miles, more restriction consistently undermines results, because it ignores the half of the equation that actually produces change. The repair window. Every adaptation your body makes in response to exercise happens during rest. Every pound of fat your body is capable of burning metabolically happens during sleep. If that window is compromised by poor mineral balance, shallow sleep cycles, or elevated nighttime cortisol, then all the effort invested during waking hours is only partially effective. Optimizing sleep is not optional for weight loss, it is foundational. This is also why this ritual fits so naturally into the lives of busy, high-performing people who feel like they do not have time for elaborate wellness routines. It takes less than 2 minutes. It requires no special equipment, no expensive ingredients, and no major disruption to an existing routine. You are simply making a small, strategic addition to the end of your day that compounds over time into measurable results. Weight loss tips that actually stick are always the ones that are easy enough to do consistently, powerful enough to produce noticeable results, and aligned with how the body actually works rather than fighting against it. This checks every one of those boxes. There is also something psychologically important about ending the day with an intentional act of self-care rather than collapsing into bed with a sense of defeat or anxiety about tomorrow. The people who struggle most with slimming down are often the ones at war with their own bodies, frustrated, impatient, disconnected from the signals their physiology is sending. A simple, grounding ritual before sleep creates a moment of connection, a pause, a decision, repeated every night that says, "I am supporting myself." That small psychological shift, practiced consistently, begins to change the internal narrative around weight loss from punishment to partnership. And that shift is where lasting transformation actually begins. By now, the picture is becoming clear. This is not about a single ingredient or a viral hack that promises overnight miracles. This is about understanding the architecture of a body that is ready to change, one that is minerally supported, hormonally balanced, deeply rested, and metabolically primed to do what it was always capable of doing. The pink salt ritual before bed is a keystone habit, meaning it is the kind of small, consistent action that does not just produce its own results but creates a ripple effect that touches every other area of your health. People who begin this practice often find themselves naturally gravitating toward better food choices, drinking more water throughout the day, sleeping longer, and feeling motivated to move their bodies. Not out of obligation or guilt, but because they finally feel good enough to want to. That internal shift is the engine of real, lasting weight loss. Let's talk about what consistent practice actually looks like over time, because expectations matter enormously in any fitness or slimming journey. In the first 3 to 5 days, most people notice subtle but meaningful changes. Morning puffiness begins to decrease. The heavy, sluggish feeling that used to accompany waking up starts to lift. Digestion becomes more regular. These early signals are not placebo. They are the body's response to finally receiving minerals it has been quietly deficient in, often for months or years. Cellular hydration improves rapidly when the right electrolytes are present, and a visible result of that improvement is a reduction in the kind of water retention that makes people feel perpetually bloated regardless of how carefully they eat or how hard they train. By the end of the second week, the changes begin to deepen. Sleep quality, measured not just in hours but in how rested you actually feel upon waking, improves noticeably for most people. This is where the fat-burning effects begin to compound in a meaningful way. Better sleep means lower overnight cortisol. Lower cortisol means reduced insulin resistance. Reduced insulin resistance means the body is far more efficient at mobilizing stored fat as fuel rather than hoarding it. For anyone who has been trying to eliminate abdominal fat specifically, this hormonal correction is critical. Belly fat is disproportionately sensitive to cortisol and insulin dysregulation. It is often the last fat to go precisely because it is the most responsive to stress chemistry. Correct the stress chemistry, and the abdominal region begins to respond in ways that months of crunches and calorie counting never could produce alone. At the 1-month mark, the cumulative effects of nightly mineral replenishment, improved sleep architecture, and reduced systemic inflammation create a noticeably different baseline. Energy levels are more stable throughout the day. The mid-afternoon crash that used to send people reaching for sugar or caffeine becomes less severe or disappears entirely. Cravings, particularly for salty snacks and processed carbohydrates, which are often the body's distorted signal for mineral deficiency, decrease significantly. And because the nervous system is better regulated, emotional eating, stress eating, and the impulsive late-night snacking that quietly derails so many healthy meal plans become easier to navigate. The body is simply less desperate, less reactive, more capable of making the choices that support the goal to lose weight healthily rather than lurching between extremes. For those engaged in active fitness routines, the benefits stack even further. Recovery between sessions improves when mineral balance is restored. Muscle cramps, which are often a sign of electrolyte imbalance, become less frequent. The quality of deep sleep, specifically the slow-wave sleep stages during which the majority of physical recovery and growth hormone release occur, increases. This means that every workout produces better results because the adaptation process is no longer being shortchanged by poor recovery. Athletes and active individuals who adopt this habit often report being able to train harder, recover faster, and maintain the kind of consistency over weeks and months that produces genuine body composition change rather than the boom and bust cycles that characterize most fitness attempts. It is also worth addressing the broader context in which this habit lives, because no single practice exists in a vacuum. The pink salt ritual is most powerful when it is surrounded by other intelligent choices that support the same biological goals. Prioritizing protein at each meal to preserve lean muscle while in a caloric deficit, managing blood sugar through balanced whole food eating rather than relying on willpower to resist cravings that are largely driven by insulin spikes, getting morning sunlight to anchor your circadian rhythm, which directly regulates the hormonal environment that determines whether your body prioritizes fat burning or fat storage throughout the day, limiting screen exposure in the hour before bed to allow melatonin production to begin naturally. These are not complicated interventions. They are aligned choices, each one reinforcing the others, each one making the next healthy decision slightly easier than the last. Weight loss tips that focus exclusively on what to eat or how much to move are missing the larger conversation about how the body actually works. The body is not a calculator. It is a dynamic, adaptive biological system that responds to its entire environment: nutritional, hormonal, psychological, and behavioral. When you address it as a system rather than attacking individual variables in isolation, the results reflect that intelligence. Progress becomes more consistent, more sustainable, and more aligned with how you actually want to feel, not just how you want to look. That distinction matters because the people who maintain their results long-term are always the ones who fell in love with feeling good, not just the ones who suffered their way to a number on the scale. So tonight, before you sleep, make the choice. Mix the combination, drink it slowly, breathe. Let your body receive what it has been asking for. Then do it again tomorrow night and the night after that. Not because it is a magic solution, but because you understand now that real transformation is built in the quiet, consistent moments when no one is watching, when you choose, one more time, to support the body that carries everything you are. That is where the work happens. That is where the change begins. And it starts tonight, with something as simple and as powerful as a pinch of pink salt. There's a natural solution to speed up your metabolism, control cravings, and support your weight loss journey naturally and effectively. Click the link in the first pinned comment to start transforming your body. If you want to truly transform your body and learn how to lose belly fat healthily, don't stop here. In the next video, I'll share practical strategies and little-known secrets to boost your metabolism and keep the weight off for good. Click now and discover how to take your weight loss to the next level.